Hello everyone, welcome to the channel guys. I am Sully. So today we are doing our Barbarian Thorns build guide. I am 71. This video is going to be a little longer than I want it to be because I want to give you options for leveling and as well as explain this endgame build that I have currently. So as you're watching those videos, and there are a lot of other great videos, of course, on YouTube about the different builds and whatnot, I think the most important thing you should keep in mind is what works for you and how are you comfortable playing. For me, for example, Frenzy Double Swing is really cool. It looks cool. It looks cool as a warrior, but it doesn't work for me. Tier 1, you can mess around with a ton of different options because Tier 1 is tier 1, but when you get to tier 3 and 4 you're gonna make sure that you're set on what you're doing, and the build that you have is comfortable for you. For me, for example, I can't play without Lunging Strike. I have to have Lunging Strike. I played Flay and Ren tier 1 for a bit. I like it. Flay is a fantastic ability. You get 4 different things from Flay. You get a bleed over time. You get what do you get? You get damage reduction, you get thorns, and you get vulnerability. For me, for example, I cannot play without Lunging Strike. I need that mobility to zip around the battlefield, and you can berserk from it. We're going to start with abilities. So this is my build currently. So this build is set up to work around the Heart Barber. Double Swing is what I prefer. You can play however you want. I love Whirlwind. It's really good too. I'm not a big fan of Hammer of the Ancients, although there are fantastic builds with it. It just doesn't work for me. Upheaval's the same way. I prefer Whirlwind and Double Swing. Double Swing's my thing. It's fast. It's easy. It does suffer a little bit from huge packs where Whirlwind is just super easy. But this current build is set up to melt bosses. You are fine in packs because of Barber and Kick and Double Swing. Things in charge, of course, with the new legendary for the season. Things do explode rather quickly, but this is it's set up for killing bosses. If you watch my Butcher video, it's sliced them apart like super quick. And then there should be some more other stuff there as an example of this build. So this is why I run this build, but really, you can run whatever's comfortable for you. But this build, it's just made to kill bosses, and that's why I like it. In Tier 1, which you should be leveling in Tier 1, I highly recommend you try Flay. Even if you won't use it, just try it out for a couple levels. As I said before, you get several things from Flay: damage reduction, bleed over time, vulnerability, etc. It's really good. Flay, you only need to hit your targets once at tier 1, and then if you're using a core ability, you use that and everything just dies. So that's the power of Flay. If you are using a core ability, you have to go pressure point. You need that vulnerability. And if you are using this build, you have to go here because you want to berserk as often as possible for as long as possible, because this is a Thorns Berserker build. You want to stack as much thorns in all of your gear, including your gems, and then you want a ton of vulnerability, and then you want to make sure you berserk for as long as possible, as often as possible. Okay? This is a must. Every single warrior build, I think, should have Iron Skin. Iron Skin, you get Bubble, you get Healing, and then with the Legendary, you get Unstoppable. Iron Skin's where it's at. For Thorns, these two are very important. You have to have these. This is great. You can put points here too, but this is, I think it's enough. Okay, a Kick is what I use, and because of how Barber works, this ability with Kick, where it absorbs all of your fury, and then explodes if you kill your target. Plus, with Barber and Double Swing and the bleeds. This multiplies to how Barber works, so when it explodes, it's a massive explosion. This is the shout I prefer. It's instant berserk, and our build works around berserk. You can put points here too. I just prefer this, having a long shout. With the new legendary, charge is really something now. I can explode an entire pack with a good charge, especially if they hit a wall. These two great for Berserk. You only need prints here. You don't really need these, although the extra damage from this and this works at a CC together. You get extra crit, so I think that's really good too. You don't really need these here. You can put them anywhere else you want. Tier 1, I highly recommend you try Chains and Kick combo, or Chains and whatever core skills, because you put them all in and they're all vulnerable. They're all vulnerable because Chains make them vulnerable. And then you just use whatever skill you want. I usually do Chains and Kick, and everything explodes, especially because it berserks you. So it's really good combo. I highly recommend you try it. It takes a little bit getting used to. There is a Death Wish playstyle, but that's more advanced. That's something we can talk about later if you want to. I use double swings, so I'll go there. And I like this because my build works around Berserk, and this extends your Berserk. Every time I Berserk, it gets extended because of this ability. You can try Walking Arsenal, since we are technically, if we're using this build, switching between all weapons. But you most likely have 2 up at a time. 3 is kind of hard because Charge has a long cooldown. But if you're finding that your Berserk is fine, then you can use this. This is great. It works with Barber great as well. So this is the build. We're not really going to talk about Paragon because I use this guy here for crits, and I use this for Thorns. Everything else is all about just defense and armor and HP and attack speed and bleed, because that's what I do. So if that works for you, that'll be fine. I may have it linked. The build will definitely be linked, but I may have that linked too. Moving on to your stats and your gear. So what to look out for. This is a Thorns build, so of course Thorns, yeah. Core ability doesn't matter too much because we're not really relying on that for a major part of the damage. We're relying on Thorns from our Razor Blade and our Death Wish. So Thorns and Berserk is what we're relying on. So that's why damage while berserking is really good too. We do a lot of bleeding, so that's good too. This is really good. This injured and healthy really helps for that explosion damage. And this too. All of these synergize very well with Barber. I think there's an absurd amount of stuff here. All of this shouldn't be on here because it tends to confuse people. It should just be something that's just not there, but it's there, but it shouldn't be visible to us. Like, all of these are unnecessary. People really tend to get confused over all this crap. So this is very important. Just like Thorns, even with all the nerfs, Thorns is still a powerhouse. Vulnerability is still a powerhouse. These are very important stats to stack still. Crit chance is extremely important too for this build. Even though this is not really a crit build, but it works because of Barber. All these explosions happening, you need that big number AoE explosions so you can kill everything inside. So you want to vulnerable before you do critical damage and critical chance. All right. So, legendaries. We already talked about some of it. Razor Plate, as soon as you hit 70, it's going to drop soon. Kill a world boss, do your Legion events, it's going to drop. You won't have to worry about that. Death Wish, you get super quick because it's in a dungeon, so it's really up to you when you get it. Everything else is really optional, guys. Disobedience, I used to have it over here, but these two are fine how they are. You want damage reduction, HP, armor, and cooldown reduction. That's what you're looking, and damage while berserk. That's what you're looking for in your gear. So, of course, Thorns as well, because this is a Thorns build. So, all of this is going to be reworked. As I level up some more, I'm going to get other gear, more gold, because everything costs an absurd amount of gold. So I can reroll the stats that I really want. But this legendary here is so good for any melee, really. As soon as there's 5 or more near you, and that's always the case, everyone gets stunned for 3 seconds. In 3 seconds, you can kill an entire pack if you're doing it correctly. This is Lifesaver. It adds to your survivability big time. So it's a drop. I have several of them. I saved them all. It's so good. Crown Sage, you can really put whatever you want here. Crown Sage is what I'm rolling with right now. So because I use double swing, get extra damage from double swing here. That's one's really good. This right here, I have both kick and charge. So this adds to their explosive power. This, whenever someone dies within 2 seconds of being kicked or charged, they do a massive area explosion. And this adds. It's just so much extra damage. This synergizes with the Barber, so you need that right there. Adds a ton of extra bleeding damage. It goes well with your expertise. Right? Keeping things vulnerable. I like this unique too. This is the Heart Barber. Or your critical strike damage against the target gets absorbed for the 2.3 seconds, and then it gets multiplied, and then it explodes, and making tons of damage. That is the build, the abilities, what to look out for, how to build your gear. It's just all about Thorns, really. Even with all the nerfs, Thorns is still a powerhouse. It's just passive leveling, passive damage. Tier 1, you can level with your eyes closed with Thorns, especially if you're using Flay early on. And if you're using your challenging shout, is it? Yeah, for extra Thorns damage and extra HP and extra survivability. This can be tricky to use because it aggroes everything, but then they all die because you're berserking and you have a bubble and you have a crap load of Thorns. So